Hey there, beloved Ascension Pioneers. Recently was guided to create a segment and sequence of videos that are short, tiny videos that are about how to really live in the new, into different segments of our reality. They're of course all one, but I wanted to bring through certain aspects and to show the way of how it is to live a higher dimensional life, what really helps us to cultivate that higher awareness and live that life to create a best living possible reality for us. So this topic is about money, abundance. This is still a delicate subject to a lot of individuals, and recently I shared an article about this on my page. It's how we really become master co-creators and how we build a foundation that is firm and based not on that external sense of security, but that inner security that we build from within. So I want to share a few examples as well to kind of help you along the way to have a better idea of what I'm really talking about, so that it just, doesn't just remain at this mental picture, that I'm really kind of helping you to give you real living examples. So a lot of us, how we live our lives in the new, we're free in how we make our choices. And the most important aspect here is to not limit ourselves when we have desires, when we have human necessities, because we do need to cherish the human aspect of who we are. And it's important to see that when we create through our awareness, through our soul, that we don't place the importance of money as an object first. So the desires, so what we're really manifesting through our inner soul essence, becomes first, because a lot of times we look through the filters of money and how we give value to a certain amount of money instead of how much we value the thing itself that we might need on our journey for the expansion of our soul or for the purpose of service. So I want to also give you some examples, but if you want a more detailed description of how this awareness flows, I would really recommend you to read my article on my webpage and how you can yourself become this master being of co-creation and what you really desire, because sometimes people write to me and they say, I've had it with this old and with these old paradigm perspectives that I've been having for so long. I want to live my life in the new, I want to change this and that, and this is how it all starts. But then, we'll be always flowing along with some challenges that are going to show you, are you ready to master that aspect of your reality? Are you ready to step in your power as it concerns it? So I'll give you an example and of my own initiation of the late and how I was guided to expand, through a concrete example of what I was writing in my article. Because we always have to live up through our integrity and follow up with that soul expansion that comes through our awareness. And this is how we embody things. So when you look at things and when you value them through the lens of what you can afford or what is too expensive for you, or what doesn't hold the kind of price that you would want to, you're a lot of times you're feeding the old. So you're looking through the eyes of separation, and when you start seeing money as just as an energy and knowing that your true source is source and you'll always be supported and you have that infinite trust that whatever you need, sometimes you got to take that leap of faith. And that what you need will be felt through your soul. A lot of times we do make irrational decisions and we make unwise choices into how we spend the money. And sometimes this is a lesson too, and we see what we really value through our soul or what we value through the system of what we want on a mental level. Sometimes our mind wants something, but it's not for our highest good. So the first thing would be to really feel what is for our highest good. And when your soul will call you to have something that will benefit your expansion and to be better of service to the whole, you will know, and the feeling inside will be immense. And at that time, it won't be so important for you to, to value the money. Oh, this is too expensive for me, or I need to save up until I can afford this, because you're going to continue to postpone it for the future. And this is not living in the new fifth dimensional or higher dimensional reality we're building, through our inner structure, and then bringing it as an essence and being a living examples for others as well, who are maybe still struggling in the old. When people have insurances and all these safety policies and, they're having immense amounts of savings, but they still feel they need to work and work and work until they have enough. But what we really need is that which will support our soul expansion, that which will support our soul purpose and service to the whole. And I'll give you one of my examples recently, so you can see how differently you can look through the eyes of ego and the mind, which will give these evaluation, or your soul, who has a totally different system of what you value. And the soul values what it needs for the expansion at this time. So I'm going to give you one example, or maybe two or three. I'm going to give you three. One example was when there were these hiking boots that I really need because my old ones are all worn out. So these were on a special price list and they were on a discount, but at that time I didn't have the money because I needed to pay for other things which were more timely and more important at that time being. So I went to check that out and I saw that they're no longer a discount. And the mind can quickly make such an assumption as, oh gosh, they're expensive again. I won't pay that much more because they were in discount before, and now they're not. So they usually, I guess I can't afford them. And they're too expensive. This is how the mind works. But how the soul works is, okay, maybe at that time the energy wasn't supporting that process because it was needed somewhere else. And the soul needed some other things first. Maybe it's, in divine timing that will come. But not through the eyes of how much you pay for that. Because the ego does those comparisons, the ego says, I won't pay, so much more because, I rather don't have it. This is how the ego thinks. So this is the old paradigm. The soul knows that in perfect divine timing you will have those hiking boots, no matter how much they cost. This is the lesson here. The second example is when I was cross-country skiing and there was this man who said, wow, you have a good technique, and I have a regular skis that are for beginners because I was still learning, and this year I was learning a lot, and they're for the classic technique, and then you also have the skating technique, and he says you need to shift to that technique because it's so much better and you have the talent. I can see how you ski, you're fast, so you need that. You have to go to this man here and he'll give you an offer and all of that, but I didn't have the money at that time to buy a whole new gear. And he said, well, it's going to be a discount, maybe he's going to give you like 40% off, but even 40% off at that time, it's not for me. The season has ended. It was my last ski of the season, and it just wasn't rational. So the 3D linear thinking would go, of course I'll pay less, even if at that time you don't have money. So that's why people create credit and debt and all of those things, because they're irrational and they're spending. Again, the soul, how it thinks is, you just nod the head and let them think their own thing, but you feel that when you're going to be guided to have, when it's time for you to make the shift and to make the progress, then you'll be having all the support. And if the support will come in a form of new gear, then that's what you'll be having. Okay, see, again, the difference. And it doesn't matter how much it will cost. It's never about the objective of money. It is about what supports your purpose and your highest divine potential in the now. The third example is something that happened to me yesterday. I was browsing through online world. I was looking for aura soma information, because I'm really into colors. I'm using them in my art a lot now, and I really wanted to have something about aura soma so I can expand my divine remembrance into that in the world of color and how to bring through creation of art through color. And I saw this tarot, aura soma tarot, and I fell in love with it because I did an online reading and I just fell in love with it. I needed to have those cards, but they're old cards, they're retro, so a lot of times they have these bargains and they're like really expensive. These are used cards, and they sell them, as a more pricey price. And I found them, and it was like, oh, I wouldn't pay that much. I never pay that much for cards. This is how the ego goes. But I wasn't feeling good. I was restless. The cards just didn't leave me alone. I felt, oh, I so need them, and I was investing so much in the products for my art that I neglected a part of me that really just needs something just for me, like that sacred thing you buy just for you because you need it to trigger something, like a new level of expansion within you. And that, which I needed for my purpose, either it was a book or a crystal or anything like that, was always supported in divine timing. But something sometimes just pop into your face. And the mind might go, because there's still that structure of the old, which we're kind of transitioning from. And it's a process. And you can see kind of like the battling between the two, the polarized opposites that kind of play this game inside your mind. And the whole theme was about surrendering and just trusting. And I didn't want to go, over my limit on PayPal. And I had some payments that are supposed to come, but they didn't yet come. I'm like, okay, am I going to trust or not? I'm just going to take that leap of faith. And I almost embraced the pricage of the cards themselves. And then came the pricage of the postage, which was, I don't know why it had to cost so much. But again, I was like, when you can feel that push, that restriction within you. And again, you want to expand through that. You don't want to think in terms of how much and money in that kind of sense, and thinking, oh, I will need to work so hard to even that out. This is old. And my soul instantly showed me, and I got this message. If it is for you, it was the last deck of cards, by the way. And after that, it was sold out because yes, I did buy it eventually. It didn't leave me alone. So that was the last one. Apparently needed to come home with me. And the thing was that the moment I did it, I felt expansion because I broke through that. And I felt there was a message coming in that said to me, if it's really meant to, you will see the proof because you will get new funds. And the next day I did get a donation and I didn't go through my limit. And I felt really expanded. And I knew that I passed initiation that I set for myself when I did the article about this, about being in the new and concerning money, abundance, and how we view it through the value of the soul, not the value of our mind, which has always these labels to a certain amount, you know, how much you're supposed to pay for this, how much you're supposed to pay for that. This is old. And sometimes it's true, things are pricey, things are not really rational all the time. But if it's something you're meant to experience on your path, if it's for highest good, it will come, and you gotta trust. And this is really important to expand into when you become a conscious co-creator being. So I hope these examples helped you so you can better implement that in your own life and your living reality in the new. And see you in the next segment, okay? Take care, so much love.